YouTube, it's Tom back with another one for you. Now, this one here, you're gonna like. This is called the nature of a remedy in a total corrupt judicial system. And so we're going to talk about different ways to get remedy from these people, and understanding the fact that they are a commercial system, administrative agents, essentially trustees for the public trust, right? Which is what essentially runs the cities and things like that. Public trust, what's funding that? You are. All right, so they backed pretty much all the property and the labor of the American people to the national debt, apparently, right? So for that reason, these people are the trustees, or they are in receivership of whatever these fake titles are and things like that, of whatever they claim it to represent. Receivership. They're waiting for people to stand up, remember who they are, and take a fucking position. There's a lot of reasons why we're in this fucking mess, but let's get into this here. So in the next chapter, we're going to get into the OIDs, original issue discount, and how that all ties in to the system that we're dealing with here. So let's get right into this here. So here it says, what is the purpose of this white paper? In its simplest form, it is to address the question that is asked by almost every so-called freeman, the inmate who has ever been railroaded by a totally corrupted so-called judicial system. For the individual who knows they have actually committed crimes against their fellow man, the outrage of being incarcerated is severely subdued by the self-admission of guilt and expectation of punishment if caught. So it is the truly outraged individual railroaded by the system who will be the most motivated to make the concerted effort to understand the information presented here and to pursue its remedy. Basically what that's saying is that, you don't really understand what it's like or will ever have the motivation. That's why you're going to see different people that when you introduce this information, they probably haven't been wronged enough to the point that made them understand that the system that they're dealing with is corrupt. A lot of them just operate out of fear. They just do whatever they're told and things like that. And so that's the reason why they're not dealing with the system the way that you and I would, somebody who doesn't give a fuck what they say, because you don't even know these people. You know what I'm saying? So for reasons like that is why they're not dealing with it, because they're compliant slaves. So that's the difference. So, so they wouldn't be able to understand you. And essentially what this is saying is that it takes somebody who has been wronged by the system, which obviously it would, right? Because you really wouldn't care otherwise. It takes somebody who has been wronged by the system to put in the effort to try to understand and figure out what the fuck's going on. I never looked at them as a threat like that. They never, I ran into them a lot and things like that throughout my life, but because of stupid shit that I've done, so I kind of fucking expected to see them at some point. You know what I'm saying? So, but in all reality, a lot of the shit that I've dealt with, I brought onto myself. But you're gonna see as well, once you get introduced to this information, how you've been stepping into all the traps that they do set up, because they do set traps, but we walk into those. Now, what is the system? Without a fundamental understanding of what the system actually is, and some understanding of how it got that way, there is virtually no possibility of understanding and correctly implementing a remedy. The subject of what is the system actually is, as opposed to what the system appears to be, could easily encompass a 1,000-page book. And way more than 1,000 pages, because they're writing new laws every day, and they're not fucking taking none out. So what is that about, right? So so this is a key point too, as well, is that in order to get a good understanding of this, even though most of it is all bullshit anyway and probably never even fucking happened, but this is the game that they play and the rules that they go by, and it's based on this specific shit and timeline. So you got to go back to when all this shit initially happened, when they went into bankruptcy, rescission of the gold clause, and how they ended up in the fiat currency system, which took everybody from a private system into a public system, which ended up under their jurisdiction of fiat currency and commerce and things like that. So they're really only authorized to regulate commerce, but they try to take away everybody's ability to operate privately by removing the gold, and then making you subject to obviously having to use the fiat currency and script like that. So it really wasn't fucking rocket science, you know what I'm saying? So a history book explaining the events of the past that led up to the present state of the system could easily fill up several thousand pages. And even if such books were in your possession, would you make the effort to digest the information? And even more important, how could you know that it was the truth? Or was it just a bunch of half-baked theories that fall upon the serious examination by objective analysis? Obviously, this extreme brief paper will make no attempt to prove anything stated herein. Everything stated herein regarding the system will of necessity be simply asserted as fact, firmly established as irrefutable, yet facts that will probably contradict everything you thought you understood about the system. You will either have to face up to the fact that you have been deceived and lied to all your life about almost everything you know or think you know, or you will remain a victim to the global financial prison that the entire world is now a part of, also referred to as the system. For those of you, the vast majority of humanity who believe that such an evil global system of grand deception and enslavement cannot possibly exist, they are suggesting of it sounding like the utterances of those conspiracy nuts and usually dismissed as kooks. I suggest you immediately cease reading any further, since I have no intention of communicating with the hopelessly dead brain masses on these matters. And that's funny too. And you know, look, so this shit is not for everybody. Some people are just really comfortable doing what they're fucking told. Like, you just have to come to those terms and shit too, because not everybody's really willing to stand up like that, you know. And I mean, that's on them. I mean, it's really an individual process, and that's what you're gonna realize as well. So it goes against my nature to be simply making assertions that are not backed up with rigorous proof, but I am of necessity going to have to just move forward and assert the facts as irrefutable truth. If you demand the truth, and mind you, I'm just reading this dude's book. I'm not saying that any of this shit is true or not true, and shit. But I think most of it is. So we'll just leave that there. So if you demand the truth in life without compromise, you will eventually come to the same truth about the system. And what do I mean by the system? The system consists of all the institutions that man has created to organize, control, sustain itself, in particular government, religion, and commerce. There are no sharp demarcations between these three institutional entities, and in fact, they are so hopelessly intertwined that I will refer to them as the system. See the first Matrix movie again and again and again. So government, religion, and commerce. So they obviously wrapped these all in together and really started with government, right? Because government, the key words there, literally by definition, govern means to control and ment means the mind. So the government by definition literally means mind control. And then the same thing with religion, morals, dogma, and things like that, right? And then they guilt you into paying them commercial revenue, and you're just gonna keep paying them. You're going to keep paying them commercially, and you're going to give them your energy, and you're going to give them your children. Okay? That's what's going to happen. So the foundational fact to understand, fact number one, the system in today's world on a global widespread basis is now completely dominated and controlled by the forces of darkness. Satan, Lucifer, the devil. So, I mean, you know, I have my feelings about these things, but they're not good or bad. I think everything does play a role. And I think everybody gives them way too much credit, to be honest with you. So this is not some mystical superstitious, even though they are pretty fucking smart, evil geniuses, if you will. But I think that they just get too much credit, just in general. So there is not some mystical superstitious ravings. The dark forces are absolutely for real and extremely ingenious in the science of controlling the people's thinking and control of all governments and men in the vast overwhelmingly majority of all religions, and in particular of all so-called Christendom, not true Christianity, represented by the harlot upon the beasts of Revelation scriptures. And for our analysis, the most bizarre realization is that the dark forces totally control all the financial economic systems, in particular banking, the principles, control lever, point of commerce, game, and the result enslavement of all mankind. There is ample, if not massive, confirmation that one indeed seems to be now well approaching the final battle of righteousness over Satan's pure evil. Fact number two, probably as much as a little over 80% of the American people still believe that man's problems can be solved by political action. I don't think that that's a fact anymore. I think you know, everybody fell out of love with that or fell out of that spell that they had on them with the whole fucking political nonsense, which is good by the, you know, the show that they've been putting on now, showing the incompetence and the the doubles of all these people, the face masks, you know what I'm saying? All that shit about all the politicians. So they've been doing a good job about trying to wake you dumbasses up. But you need to know that it's not going to be fixed by fucking who you vote for, okay? Let me just put it like that. So voting have an informed opinion on all political matters. They accept what they hear on the media and believe that authority can be trusted. Less than 10% of this group will ever realize how profoundly deceived they have been. And so this is the thing, is that when you guys get hypnotized, or when we all were hypnotized, because we all were, and I mean, I don't think that anybody's ever not hypnotized. We're just, we fucking adapt to a program that works for us at any given point. So, because you're always going to be influenced in one way or another. You just got to pick a program that works for you. And if, slavery works for you, then fucking by all means. By all means. So fact number 3. The world and all its resources, its most important being the human slave resources. Hang on a second. I think I just fucked this up. Oh, no, we're good. So, fact number 3, the world and all of its resources, its most important being the human slave resources, are in fact controlled by the extremely wealthy and powerful families whose ingenious extortion strategies have become the foundation of the world's economy, global economic slavery, through the creation of fictional indebtedness by imposition of centralized banking to ultimately deprive the people of all property and freedom. And I mean, it was a fucking genius plan, to be honest with you. Like, they literally convinced everybody that you can't just make your own gold by looking up the ingredients online of what is in gold and then melting it together in your own fucking backyard. I don't know how they convinced people of that shit, but they did. So the fact that everybody believes that, they're gonna go out and trade their fucking time and labor for some green pieces of paper that are actually just IOUs. So, some something for you to think about right there, you know what I'm saying? So fact number 4, secret societies such as Illuminati, Luciferians, Freemasonry, 32 degrees levels and above, and others are keepers of arcane knowledge that guarantees the keeping of ordinary people in political, economic, and spiritual bondage. Major breakthroughs in the sciences such as physics, medicine, and engineering, etc., have long been consistently suppressed by these groups for purposes of maintaining plunder and control of the unthinking masses. And it's true, because if you really think about it, even just the things that I just told you, it doesn't take a genius. It really fucking doesn't, to be honest with you. You just gotta open your eyes. So fact number 5, the original de jure Republican form of government given to us by our founding fathers, referred to as the United States of America, had been replaced by stealth and deception with a private, foreign-owned and operated for-profit, actually plunder, de facto corporate democracy, not a republic, in actual a municipal corporation of the District of Columbia or the United States being incorporated in England. So, and that's the thing too. So what you think or what you know of to be the United States is not the USA, United States of America. It's just the US, and that's a corporation that sits in Washington, District of Columbia, 10 miles square, and it is a corporation registered in England, and they're just doing business here. They're just doing business here. All right, so why the fuck are they minding your business? Why the fuck are they minding my business if you're just doing business here, bro? So fact number 6, the state of Ohio or any state of XYZ refer not to the legitimate du jour republic, a party to the Constitution for the United States of America, but are not unincorporated. No physical boundaries defined in their constitution. Municipal corporate instrumentality of the United States fraudulently established under the Buck Act. Now keep in mind, you're always going to see the word act. You're going to see the word act in front of your president, the word act in front of your sheriff, the word acting in front of your mayor, the word acting in front of your police chief. Right? They're all fucking acting. These de facto government impersonators have no actual lawful authority over any inhabitants of the several states of the Union, being ultra-vires and null-teal to the corporate charter. They are at the purest form of a total fraud and deception against the people. They're fucking impersonating officers is what they're doing. Okay? So just because somebody has a costume on doesn't fucking mean that they are who they say they are. If a giraffe puts on a costume of a zebra, you know what the fuck it is still, don't you? Same thing with these fucking weirdos that you see out here with these costumes. What the fuck am I supposed to think that you're something else? Like, I can still see you, bro. Like, your face is still sticking out of that costume. I can see you. Okay? So, this is how fucking retarded they really have everybody. Really. Like, really. So, fact... it's fucking crazy. So, fact number 7. All the state courts found within the state of Ohio or any state of being brought into existence under the fraudulent authority of state of have never had any lawful authority over the inhabitants, only over the fictions they create and the trustees of those fictions, never the sovereigns unless tricked into being the co-trustee. So what this is saying is that they've never had and never do have and never will have jurisdiction over you, the live, living, breathing man, the physical breathing entity, or whatever you want to call this physical vessel. They never had jurisdiction over that. They only had jurisdiction over what they created, and I mean, who knows if they even created us, right? In like a fucking lab underground or some shit. But anyway, moving on. So look, so they only have the jurisdiction over whatever that they created as far as the paperwork goes. So let's just be clear about what I'm talking about. They only have jurisdiction over the paperwork that they create, making reference to the physical body, never the actual physical body. Okay. So fact number 8. In order to overcome the total lack of lawful authority over inhabitants in this bogus courts, a fictional constructive trust, your name spelled in all capitalization, in fact, another federal instrumentality, is created under fraud to deceive the inhabitant into believing he or she is subject to the private copyrighted statutory whims of the de facto corporate government impersonator. Now, you know that this is true because when you look at your social security card, it is obviously something that is made in your name based on the fact that you're alive, and so your energy is giving this thing life, that they go ahead and they fucking monetize and they make a shit ton of money off that. Now, when you look at the back of your social security card and you go to sign that, the line that you sign on, look at the signer. Look at the line that it tells you to sign on. It says authorized representative in micro font, meaning that you have to use a microscope to see what the fucking word says. That's the line that you sign on. Now, does that seem like they're trying to trick you or not? Like, to me, it seemed a little sketchy, because why couldn't you have put that big enough for me to be able to see? You know what I'm saying? Because they want you to think that that's you. That's why. I'll just fucking tell you what it is. But it isn't you. You're the authorized rep, and when you grab a microscope and look at it, you're gonna see what it says. It says that. So it's never been you. It's never been your kids that they had the jurisdiction over. It was always the fucking paperwork. So they literally have your kids right now in administrative fucking court, kidnapping your children, acting like you have any obligation to entertain them in any fucking way, when in all reality, all that they ever had and still do have jurisdiction over is that piece of paper, not the physical vessel. So you see what's going on here. That's human trafficking. So fact number 9, all so-called judges who in fact are in the business of enforcing private copywritten statutes and codes are judicial officers, but rather more executive administrators of a private for-profit municipal corporation having absolutely no legal and lawful authority over the sovereign inhabitants. So you see what this is saying here, right? Which is what it is, because I mean, you're dealing with statutes, codes. You're dealing with policies. You're dealing with the penal system. These are all corporate. These are all commercial in nature. These are all private, copywritten text used for the purpose of commerce. Otherwise, why would you have it copywritten in general if it was just private like that? You know what I'm saying? So, everybody's contracting into this shit with these motherfuckers, but they're not knowing how. Okay? So fact number 10. The United States and its instrumentalities, such as the state of XYZ, create constructive trusts named after its inhabitants on the land, name spelling in all capital letters, in order to deprive the lawful inhabitant of his true identity and substantive rights, and fraudulently make the inhabitant liable for the debts and obligations of the United States and or its instrumentalities. Fact number 11. The United States and its instrumentalities, such as the state of XYZ, never recognized lawful inhabitants of the land and only recognized fictitious creations of the United States and all of its other instrumentalities. And so they recognize these all capital name states that you look at too as well, that you'll see abbreviated versions of the names of the states that used to be written out whole. What you'll see is that they abbreviated them and they put them in all caps. And so they put them in all caps. And so that puts them under their jurisdiction, because now it's no longer, say, Massachusetts. Now it's MA. And that's something else. It's different now. So now they can just act like they fucking run that, because they created that, that abbreviation. So they can control that because they created it. So fact number 12, the United States District Court, as constituted in the several states a party to the Constitution, are completely outlaw, illegitimate, constitutionally unauthorized private courts impersonating the true Article 3 courts, referred to as the district courts of the United States, which no longer exist anywhere and cannot be elicited into existence by any known means. Now, so we handle court through the mail, right? And we use a notary, and we use the notary's return address. The notary is your witness, and the notary is the judge. So when you hold court, you get your summary judgment. That is court. You don't have to go to them. You don't have to go to them. So, I mean, why would you ask them if they can fucking cut you a check when they know that they fucked up? No, you just go ahead and take that. You know what I'm saying? So, fact number 13, the so-called Supreme Court of the United States is currently not functioning as an Article 3 constitutionally authorized court, but rather as a high admiralty court. They consistently assert no comment when confronted with the simplest questions. Are you the one Supreme Court described in Article 3 of the Constitution for the United He said they just say that they don't have a comment. That shit is funny. Now, and mind you, I've even called the the Supreme Court clerk and they're not bad people. They're just doing their job. But there is questions that they can and cannot answer. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't want to put themselves into a position. But I mean, it's pretty obvious when you fucking look into it. I mean, they have a DUNS number, EINs, and all that. What the fuck's that about? That's not a real court. So fact number 14. The corporate de facto democracy, not the de jure republic, United States of America, went into bankruptcy in 1933, creating a legal vacuum, the void of which was filled by the fiction construct of fraud that led to the judicial system becoming the most corrupt legal system in the world without peer. And an unidentified recent candidate for nomination to the Supreme Court of the United States, Edith Jones, appellate judge, publicly stated the American legal system is corrupt, almost beyond all recognition. And, I mean, you can't even blame them because you fucking let them do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they grew into what you let them become. So really, I mean, and then now you want them to fix it? Come on, man. Shit is ridiculous. So fact number 15, all so-called crimes are in fact strictly a commercial matter as stated in 27 CFR 7211. So that's the code of regulations. So all so-called crimes are in fact strictly a commercial matter. And they couldn't be anything else because the people charging you are commercial entities using all caps DBAs. So what could they ever charge you with besides a commercial charge? Come on. So fact number 16. Ever since June 5th, 1933, because of the bankruptcy of the United States, when House Joint Resolution 192 was unanimously passed in becoming public policy per Public Law 73-10, all products of the industrial economic system are lawful legal necessity prepaid. Everything must be paid for by the government to preclude the charges of high treason against Congress, Secretary of Treasury, Board of Governors, the Federal Reserve Bank, and the Comptroller of the Currency. This is a historical, irrefutable fact that has been kept secret from you for over 93 years. Is it time to wake up, maybe? And I'd say, yeah. I'd say it's probably time for you to fucking wake up. Because you see what's happening right now? So, I mean, people are doing fucking horrible right now. I mean, I'm doing fucking amazing. That's the only reason why I'm really coming to even help everybody, so they can see what it's like to really be in your own fucking timeline, because I'm really not fucking with these people like that. And I don't give a fuck what they say, to be honest with you. So what can we conclude from these facts? Now, these particular assertions being stated as facts, the following conclusions can be readily arrived at. Pursuing any remedy within the so-called courts is the proverbial barking up the wrong tree, since the so-called courts have an immense financial incentive, as much as $10,000 per day per inmate, to convict any and everyone, innocent or guilty, of totally irrelevant. The pretend courts only rake in the big bucks upon securing convictions at all costs, or as a compromise, obtain lucrative bribes from its victims, which is going to be like you paying your lawyers' fees and fucking court fees and all these hundreds of thousands they're going to fucking make you pay just to get out and not have to deal with a charge. Now, when we get to the end of this series of videos, I'm going to show you how to get all that shit back, because that's all going to qualify as you being the original issuer of that particular instrument, and credits because it was written based on your name, which means that they are liable for repayment. Okay, so pursuing any remedy, yeah, it's just not going to happen. So what we deal with, we just deal with the courts. I mean, with the mail. So we use notaries and we deal with the mail, and that's how we hold court. We don't fucking go into these people's places of business like that. So there exists virtually no men or women of integrity left anywhere in the so-called judicial system house, because potential whistleblowers are not tolerated. The exceptions are indeed far and few, and in between, and those remaining few are virtually powerless to help you. And that's what it'll be. It'll be like the old lady down in the corner and shit. That's like she knows everything but really can't do nothing about it to help you and shit. So, and I mean, it does have to be that everybody's in on it, because there's no way there's no fucking way you can do this shit without knowing what the fuck you're doing. Okay. So as much as the Chicago mobster A.I. Capone was virtually untouchable against the direct activities he engaged in, he was vulnerable indirectly through issues of taxation, which is, you know, taxes the whole. I mean, you know what I do with the taxes and all that. Discharge them shits for free. Taxes over 10 grand, you send them to me, I just discharge them on the house. So if that's what so that's what I think about the tax. So the courts, consisting of the clerk of court, prosecutor, deputy prosecutor, pretend judge, and the defense attorney, are all profoundly vulnerable to the issues of tax delinquency against their person for the bonds, true bills being generated off the credit of its accused victims as products of statutes. A product of a statute is nothing different than, let us say, a product of an industrial factory that builds automobiles. All these products are indeed prepaid, yet the people in the profound ignorance are expected to somehow pay for these things, even though after the U.S. bankruptcy, the people no longer could pay for their debts at law, since it was now legally impossible. No precious metals backed by the currency anymore, and the confiscation of gold by the executive order. Now, so they're charging you with something, pretending to have no remedy available when they have it there in front of their fucking face the whole time. They're not going to tell you that, but they're going to double and triple up on you the whole way. The whole way. You know what I'm saying? Until you start filing 1099s on them and you start getting them audited and things like that, because that shit is tax evasion. Okay, they're stealing private credit and they're throwing it into their little trust and all that. I think that's a big part of the reason why all these banks are crumbling right now. Because they thought all their money was safe in the banks now. Now they're probably not going to get that back if they were grimy assholes. And it's real easy to see everybody that took their money out prior to it actually getting fucking to the banks actually crashing. So I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to keep that money either. So, I mean, you guys got to be smarter than that, you fucking criminals. Really should be smarter than that, to be honest with you. That's pretty sloppy. So, we forget who the real sovereigns are. It is precisely this inability of the people to pay at law their debts that empowers them under the Public Law 7310 to be able to exercise their exemption, exempt from paying, to achieve set-off, mutual cancellation of debt for any and all debts that the sovereign accepts, right? And you have to accept that shit. You have to accept their offer. These are all offers. Okay, these people are not in a position to be demanding anything. I mean, they're really lucky to even be there to fucking begin with now, and I have no clue how the fuck they even are, to be real with you. I think it's only because nobody else really understands what money is. Now, everybody starts making their own gold and starts being their own banks. You think they're gonna give a fuck what these people are talking about? They're only doing it for the green pieces of paper. When they realize how worthless all that shit is, these people lose their power in a fucking day. It's done. Over. So, we are all sovereigns pursuant to the unanimous Declaration of Independence of July 4th, 1776, making us subject to no other man, only God, the absolute sovereign. All men are created equal. Now, do you remember, we being the sovereign are the only source of commercial energy. All funds that exist within the economy ultimately belong to a sovereign inhabitant of the land. No government has the capacity to generate any positive commercial energy, only to generate destruction, death, and debt, a pure parasitical existence upon the productive energy of the sovereigns. These concepts are not some pie-in-the-sky mental exercise, but are hard reality that the dark forces fully recognize to go to such lengths to keep hidden from us. With great ingenuity and cunning, the dark forces have attempted to totally neutralize these impediments to achieving total enslavement of sovereigns by making them think that they are subject to their servants, the greatest of all con jobs on the history of man. And that shit has got to be the truest word spoken right there. Now, look, you don't think mind control is real? Then why do you think that your servants somehow have more power over you than you do? Now, when you start looking at the definitions, you're going to really understand how fucking brainwashed everybody is. Because not only do you believe that your servants have more power than you, so don't your fucking servants. Bro, you think I'm going to fucking let my slave talk to me like that in my fucking house, bro? Anyway, so look. Is there anything... You know what I'm saying, though? You know what I'm saying, though? Come on. So, is there anything we can do So how do we turn the table on the greed, the total corruption, and the infinite evil and control of this wicked system to assert our sovereignty, to restore the de jure republic where everyone is a sovereign with no subjects, and put a stop to the domestic terrorism, rape, and robbery and pillaging being committed against the sovereigns? Now, should we just wait for the promised divine destruction of the entire global system? You know they fucking handed you that Bible so you would sit there and wait for the fucking bus while they raped and killed your fucking kids, right? That's why they gave you the Bible. How's that working out for you? So guaranteed to eventually happen in the scriptures that admittedly has 1,000% batting average so far. Like, how many fucking predictions have you people made? Bro? Like, come on, bro. So we have the knowledge to do so, to put into actions that can free the unjustly incarcerated and help them set up circumstances that can eventually curtail, if not cause to implode upon itself by its own accord, the criminal enterprise impersonating a judicial system. And I mean, really, you look at who you're even dealing with in there. I mean, they're all a bunch of fucking actors. So since the criminal enterprise impersonating the judicial system is protected, supported by the mutually profiting from the plunder that they generate, all the way up to the Supreme Court of both state and federal venues, they actually are in the same one, the federal system, since the state is a mere federal instrumentality. And you know that because they take money from the feds, which is going to make them subject to them now because they contracted with them. On top of the fact that they're all capped, that the states are in all caps, and so they are operating under a DBA. So that we must seek remedy outside of the state and federal so-called government de facto that has a superior position. Now, you know, and it still is strange. And when you start to look into this shit more, you're going to see how strange it really is that everybody really believes what the fuck I was just telling you. Which, I mean, I even did as well, right? And you don't know until you start digging into this shit what the fuck's really going on. Because if you ask anybody, they're only going to tell you some regurgitated bullshit that they fucking memorized somewhere. Or something that somebody else told them. And I guarantee it's something that somebody told them, because if they ever even read law at all, you would know that you're fucking 100% out of your fucking mind. All of you, like all of you, gone. Fucking insane. So the United, for real. So the United States and its federal instrumentalities, such as the state of XYZ, all went bankrupt in 1933 and went into receivership. That's because they went bankrupt. These people are just fucking stand-ins. That's all that they are. So the creditor in the bankruptcy of this International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, which uses their collection enforcement branch called the Internal Revenue Service, which I don't got a problem with them. They always do their job. You know, just nobody knows how to look. The system was not fucking designed to fuck you. To be honest with you, this shit is a fucking incredible system. They just fucking weaponized it. They fucking weaponized it. So to service payments into the phony bankruptcy that is being used as a subterfuge to extort money from the people through the income tax scam. It's illegal to charge any living man or woman taxes in general, but you know that when you look at USC 26. Well, you're going to see there the definition of person, the all caps person, which is who they always make reference to, or the individual, which is really just a corporation. Okay, so that's really what they're taxing. So you should be filing as a corporation since you're getting taxed as one, right? Think about it. So the federal tax form provide a tool for remedy. The federal tax form always suggests to use for extortion of funds from individuals is the 1040 form. Even though upon examination of the Office of Management and Budget, a congressionally mandated listing of what this form is to be used for show absolutely no applicability to the subject of individual income tax. That is purposeless to protest any aspect of the surreal income tax scam. The form totally supports that your tax position will be asserting. An example, federal tax form 1040. If your attention to, all right, so this is just telling you how to fill out one of those. How to just fill out one of those forms there, which I'm not gonna talk about because that's tax shit and all that. So, but anyway, look, man. So we're gonna get into in the next couple of chapters the OID portion of this, how this ties into commerce, which we just covered as well. 27 CFR, how that makes reference to the penal system all being commercial, on top of the fact that Congress and all these people in office only have power to regulate commerce, so they are nonetheless commercial entities. Now, who the fuck are these people? Do you know them? You know what I'm saying? So think about that. So anyway, it is a game of chess. Stop playing chess. Stop playing checkers with these clowns. Is that how it goes? Stop playing checkers with these clowns, man. That's what I got for you for now. Until we meet again.